I Am Big is about sharing what's working in a big way. Lara lost her husband in a plane crash. She found herself feeling helpless and alone. She decided not to give up on life. Let's find out more. Let's welcome Lara to the I Am Big show. Welcome to the I Am Big show.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me. So much fun.
How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
I'm good. Well, thank you for coming in all the way from Belize.
Well, thank you for
to the
having
I Am
me.
Big show. I remember you had sent me. I had requested more information because I really don't know you. Well, I know you,
met
but
you once,
we have met
right.
once, so I don't know all the
You know my soul, but
experiences.
you don't know my story.
You got it. I love, oh my God, you got to write a book. But I remember saying that, girl, write down your story for me. And it's a very difficult thing to do. And you sent, a few emails. You said it's going to take, and now I'm going to tell you a little secret. I didn't read any of them.
No?
No. And here is why. Because at that moment, I just knew that I would like every viewer, including myself, to get amazed with your story. All I know about your story is this, that you had a husband who died in a plane crash.
Correct.
And you are doing something amazing with your life today. So I want to talk about and learn from you what happened
Starting where?
with your husband.
Well, the first thing I always have to say about Thomas Francis Lennon is he is and will always remain the single most amazing human I have ever met in my life. And I knew that when he was in my life. So what happened was, I married the exact right human being for me. And my mother-in-law even said that he was put on this earth to take care of me. Like that was his purpose in life. And what he taught me was love. He's the first person in my life that ever truly loved me in a pure, healthy way. It wasn't self-serving. It wasn't anything like that. He just saw me, and he used to tell people, because I got this whole personality thing going, But when you know me one-on-one, well, a little much for some people, especially when I was younger. But when you know me one-on-one, the one thing nobody will ever say about me is that I don't have a big heart. And so he used to always say, it's like, you don't know her the way I know her. You don't know her the way I know her. And I believe that he truly loved me from his soul. And I also believe that he was put here to take care of me and to teach me what love was. So that was him. And what happened with his death was this, is that I absolutely count myself as part of the September 11th stuff. He had always wanted to be a pilot. He was one of those guys who could read a book and then do it. So he wanted to be a stockbroker. He read the book and became a stockbroker. He wanted to be an air traffic controller. Read the book, became an air traffic, passed the test to be an air traffic controller. He always wanted to be a pilot. And so and the brass ring for the East Coast is US Airways. Like that's the brass ring. And he had gotten, by the time when I met him, he wasn't flying for US Airways. He worked hard and he got a job with US Airways. And we were living the dream. I was making well into the six figures as a vice president of employee relations. He was making a boatload as a pilot, and we had our beautiful home, and life was awesome. And then,
how old were you at that time?
I was 29. I was a VP at 28. I think I was 29 when September 11th happens. And he was flying that day for USA.
On September 11th?
Yes. And all the phone systems went down. But he got a call into me. It took him 5 days to get home, which was awful because there were no flights. And I kept saying, you need to get in the car. And he didn't. No, he didn't listen. See, stubborn, didn't listen. It took him 5 days to get home. And then that was September 11th. And then January 2nd, he got laid off. And we knew that was going to happen because the whole airline industry fell apart. So he spent 8 months, we used to say unemployed, but his joke was, I'm living the dream, because I was going off to work. He would make my lunch. And he went back to flying what's called an MU2. And he was flying freight at night. And I got a call on May 14th, 2004 at 8:30 in the morning the phone rang and they said Mrs. Lennon, and I'd never changed my name because my name had been so prominent in my corporate world that I never changed it, and no one says Mrs. Lennon. And so like any cop, any firefighter, I knew instantly. I don't remember what the guy said. He crashed on approach to Baltimore Washington International Airport.
So you get a call one morning that your husband is dead and
No, I got a
so-
call saying Mrs. Lennon, and then he said, there's been a plane crash. We think it was Tom, and we think there were no survivors. I'm
a
not
phone
an
call.
idiot. Yeah.
And you're live on the phone.
Well, here's the funny thing. I haven't told you this part. So I am not a morning person. I never was. At 7:25 that morning, I woke up that morning early, like at 7, which for me is like, at that time, I couldn't get to my office by 10 o'clock, you know? And I woke up, and it was a beautiful day that day. The day, like after a spring, you walk outside, and it's that perfect ambient temperature on your skin, beautiful. And I thought, oh, I'll go for a run. I'd never been for a run in my life, but I thought, oh, I'll go for a run. 7:25, I decided to call his cell because I thought he'd be on his way home. And he worked nights. He flew at night. So, and he was away. And so I thought I'd wait. He liked it when I was still in bed when he got home. He'd curl up in bed. We'd have a minute together. I'd get in the shower and go to work. So I wanted to know how close he was. So I called his phone at 7:25. The phone rang 4 times and went to voicemail. And then I called back a few minutes later. I thought he was in the tunnel between Baltimore and Philly. I called back a few minutes later. I went straight to voicemail. His plane crashed at 7:26. So an hour later, I get the phone call. There was a plane crash. We think it was Tom. We think there were no survivors. That was a Friday, and everything, of course, that was the end of that life. And that was coming up on 9 years ago. And then I would say the 5 or 6 years after that was sort of like a pause.
Can I,
Sure.
hate to interrupt.
No, I could keep talking, so you best.
No, I just, I want to, what I really, if you can take yourself back at that time, you know, because who said that they were not sure if it's him or not,
Yeah, we're sure it's
right? But then, how did you react?
I need to get off this phone because I'm done with you. You are of no use to me anymore. Now I got to figure out what to do. And I hung up the phone and I paced, which I've later read is something that people do when somebody dies. It's almost like this searching thing. And I paced and I kept going, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I started hyperventilating. I literally went to the floor and then I kept saying, I don't know what to do. You're okay. I would say as soon as I go, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't. But you're okay, Lara. You're okay. This I just kept hearing, you're okay. You're okay. I don't know what to do. You're okay. It was like the two parts competing, not competing, but vying for my consciousness at that point. So I called my grandfather's girlfriend. Great love story. Of course, she don't know what to do. So she gave me, it just kind of was the first phone call I made. And then I realized I had to call his family. Now, his mother, who I love so much, Tommy was the youngest of 5 children. His mother had been widowed at 42 when she had 5 kids, then widowed again at 48, and then now lost her son and her youngest child and her only son. And Tom took care of his 4 older sisters and his mom. He was that kind of man, which is what led him to take such good care of me as well. And so I had to figure out, who do you call? His sisters who worship the ground you work on, his mother, who do I call?
And how? It's really...
And I had to think of the 4. I knew I couldn't call my mother-in-law first, and so I called one of the sisters, the one he was closest with. So I went through that, and then people came, and I can tell you, in retrospect, 9 years later, I absolutely, without question in my mind, had a nervous breakdown. And I can tell you the minute it happened is when I had to, my little 32-year-old brain, and I had to go upstairs and get clothes to bring to the funeral home. And I came downstairs and I looked at my brother-in-law, Jeff, to hand him the bag. And I looked at him and I was like, we need to puh. And it literally, that's when it splintered. And it stayed splintered for a very long time. I had a lot of trouble with reality. I couldn't read for a couple years, literally couldn't read. You couldn't get into my head. I remember looking at the phone after a few months and I couldn't figure out how to dial a telephone, just literally. And I did what I do, which is now I'm in a bad spot. I'd left vice president. The company I worked for had gotten bought out, so I had no income. I had opened this cute little antique shop on the main line of Philadelphia because I decided the next idiot I was going to work for was me. And I am an idiot, so it worked out well. And but he helped me move the furniture, and he helped me do everything for this little shop. And his income was gone. I had no income. I couldn't use a phone, so I couldn't go back to work. And I was in a corner. I was in a bad corner. And so I opened more businesses because that's what I need money. I have to work harder. So I opened a boxing gym. I used to box, a women's boxing gym, and I opened an Oriental rug gallery. I realized the day that Tom died, I knew a lot of things. I look back now and I'm like, I don't know how. Because it wasn't me in my own head, whatever that thing is that comes into you that guides you when you're not even paying attention. But I had a lot of things. I look back, I'm like, God, I was so smart. How did I know that? But I knew it was going to take me a good 5 years. And I remember saying that it was going to take me a good 5 years to figure this out before I'm even going to be healthy. But I knew I was too young to let this screw me up for the rest of my life. I was 32 years old.
Bingo.
My grandfather's 100.
Bingo.
I'm too young to let this screw me up for the rest of my life.
That's it.
So I can either make the decisions that are continue to screw me up, or I can own my life as much as I can.
And own the tragedy.
Exactly.
Yep.
And choose to make other decisions
to
for
live.
myself. And I decided to do the Nestea Plunge. I don't know if you remember that commercial or when back in the 70s.
I really don't watch TV.
I don't even know if it's old. It's from like the 70s, and Nestea is an iced tea brand, and the commercial back growing up was they would fall into a pool, just fall back, take the Nestea Plunge, and just fall back. And I decided in my head, that was the image I had, I'm just gonna fall. And if I was walking through the grocery store and I felt like crying, I cried. I could care less what anybody thought. I felt whatever it was that I needed to feel, because I couldn't control anything at that point. Obviously, I couldn't control what was happening to me. I couldn't control what was going on in my life. I could try, try an open business, but really ineffectual. So ineffective. So I decided to do the Nestea Plunge and just sort of allowed things to happen around me.
I'm very, very inspired by you. I feel that a lot of viewers are going to be. And your life experience, we're going to be talking and following up and coming to Belize and doing all sorts of fun things with you. I would like to share with the viewers that Lara has a beautiful, beautiful wedding planning and a dream making experience happen. Basically, she takes your dreams on perfect weddings and makes it work, which is a huge thing for somebody who has gone through. That makes me believe that you believe in love, and hence how much I love you.
So much.
And I know love is going to happen to you very soon. I just can feel it in the air. It's just something you can feel. Can you feel it with me? Just feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it. Love is going to happen. And
Again.
And your website is
romantictravelbelize.com.
romantictravelbelize.com.
U.S. phone number is 215-469-2496. It's a U.S. phone number that rings down there. So call me anytime.
Call anytime.
Have a little chitty chat.
Have a little chitty chat. She's wonderful. But we admire and salute you for your strength. We appreciate you for your vulnerability, because that's what makes you human.
Thank you.
That's what makes you you.